sports news.
Headlines have spoken.
Streaming data-free on the MTN network in South Africa. This is where Africa comes to play.
That is a masterclass.
On your phone, online, and on demand at omniaudio.africa.
It's mayhem.
Not the sports news.
I'm back.
You're back. How are you feeling?
The migraine left me, but the flu now wants to attack me. So I sound a little bit like a man, but I'm still Romy Titus, I can assure you.
It's that change of the seasons, and seasons are coming to an end, finally. Football seasons are coming to an end.
Oh, that season, yeah. I'm like,
Betway's coming to an end.
I'm a bit slow today.
Autumn's
Kev.
coming to an end.
No, we're in full throttle of winter already. Never mind, long ago, autumn came to an end. I don't even think we had autumn. I think
straight.
one day we just went kapow, straight into winter.
Basically, there are more leaves falling than Kaizer Chiefs points. Sorry.
Anyway.
Did you watch football last night?
No.
Inter Milan.
No, I didn't.
Inter against Barcelona, probably the greatest semi-final I've seen in a long time. 4-3 in extra time, 7-6 on aggregate. It was an absolute belter. David Fratese scored for Inter Milan in extra time. It was just, it was in the 99th minute.
Like the dying minutes, yeah.
The 99th minute. 99 red balloons, partying like it's 99th minute. No, that's Prince
Of
song.
beer on the wall, isn't it?
99 bottles of beer
Beer
on the wall.
No,
And if
no.
one should accidentally fall, they'll be called Chiefs, who are busy apologizing. So Nabi apparently apologized. So the guy who took him out was Njibula Ngidi, who used to work with me at the Star, and they had a big apology. And apparently Brad Jakes played the apology yesterday. So do try and listen to the Inside SA Soccer from yesterday.
But
to find
shame,
out.
I guess, I always say I don't envy the jobs of coaches for this very reason, right? Because when things go right, I guess is it the coach? But when things go wrong, we all know it's the coach, right? It's a thankless job. It's a job that, again, I'm saying I don't think he is the perfect fit. Everything rests on this weekend, which it shouldn't. So what, by virtue of the fact that maybe he wins the weekend, yes, the cup drought comes to an end, but then there's also the element of luck, and it's also a cup competition, right? You really want the league to kind of say, we are kings of something. I want to almost say something real.
Yeah.
Not a cup of the league. Is, which one are you hungrier for?
Yeah, exactly.
And it would be great because it instills some hope and belief again in the Amakosi fans. But is he the man for the job? Are we going to see a change when the season can end, or are they still going to hold on to a man who says he's building? But I'm really tired of that now, and I think so is he. He's also become frustrated, and it shows because the mere questions that he could answer before, he can no longer answer.
Yeah.
And hence the lashing out, for no reason, because journalists are allowed to ask questions. And even if those questions rub you up the wrong way, are journalists not allowed to ask the questions that they want to ask that is in the public interest at the end of the day? Or must you just toe the line and ask nice questions all the time?
It's probably a bit like Arne Slot being asked constantly during the season is, what's happening with the Mo Salah contract? What's happening with the Virgil van Dijk contract? What's happening with the Trent contract? And he says, you'll find out when everyone else finds out. Eventually he says, I know what you're going to ask me. Do you want the answer, or must I just make it up? That's what you're going to do anyway.
But okay, I also appreciate that he has come out to apologize, because I guess you got to go back and reflect and realize, actually, in the heat of the moment, I just wasn't a very kind coach. And we all know why.
Well, it's a big hug. If you look at Njibula's feed on Instagram, said we hugged and made up. And Njibula is one of those guys, he just says it's part of the job. And he's a very likable guy. I think he's the best football writer in South Africa at the moment. If Brad Jakes is listening, Jake, he's only slightly better than you, because Jake's and I are good mates.
Look, it is nice. It is nice in the space when something like that goes down, for it to come back, for either party to come back and apologize and carry on, because Njabula is still going to go to very many other press conferences, right? And still ask very many questions, whether it is Coach Nabi or not. For me, the other thing is my math is not mathing, right?
What?
Because my math is not mathing. You with me?
I'm going to write. I'm going
right.
to Google mathing to see if it's a real
my
word.
math is not mathing. Life is lifing, but my math is not mathing, because Pirates won last night, right?
Yeah.
There's a very happy Mdu here. today. That was 2-1 in their Betway Prem against Golden Arrows. Arrows not doing very well. They're in that relegation zone. And remember, Royal AM out, so relegation zone has become very, very hot. So now I'm just trying to see, like, can they catch up? Because if my math is mathing, Sundowns could win the league by Sunday.
Yeah, so according to this, the Pirates are now at 52 points after 23 games, just 9 behind Sundowns. They're playing Chipper United tonight. If they've got 5 matches left and they win all of them, they'll end on 67 points. But put pressure on Sundowns, who need just 2 wins and a draw from the final 4 matches to win their 8th successful title. So,
and I don't think they're going to let it go that easy. I mean, who did they play now the other day? I watched that full 90 minutes. Help me, please, and do. You know, I'm a little slow today. City, that's it. And also, I thought, based on where City just are, that it would be a far easier game than what it was. I really thought that they would come out there in the first half already. Yes, they dominated, but find the back of the net, seal the deal. They're tired.
Yeah,
They're tired.
They've had a long season, and they still got a CAF Champions final to play.
They're heading to a Club World Cup as well. You know that's on the horizon, so they want to wrap up the league. But for me, they're tired. You're not seeing a Shalulile play.
Yeah.
Apparently, he had an injury. Reyners and Tussie came to the party, finding the back of the net there. But they're tired. And I'm starting to see that. And I'm also thinking, are Pirates not also, is everybody else not seeing that? Which means they also know, everybody knows what's at stake here. So it's either they keep the focus and never mind, I'm tired. You've also got a Ronwin Williams who is battling injury. And Coach Cardoso also comes out to say exactly how it is that they're using players. Yeah. And that if there are injuries, they're treating them as they go, kind of. But Coach Cardoso is also not the type of player just to put a player in the line.
Yeah.
And they're injured, you know. Anyway, they're tired, basically, is what I want to say. They're tired, and I don't know if they can hold on for as long as they need to. But they're going to have to if they want to make it 8 back-to-back league wins.
Yeah, it's a bit, I think, like Liverpool last season or the season before, when they played in the Champions League final, 2022, and they'd played in every single game that was possible for them to play in, because they were FA Cup final, Carabao Cup final, they were in the one played every league game and Champions League finals. So they are tired. Somebody else who's tired are open tickets. There's a mess.
Come on, guys! I'm so disappointed. Because ticket sales open, and usually it is for like a Nedbank Cup final, and obviously with it being a derby in Durban, tickets are going to sell like hotcakes, right? Yeah. It's going to be another packed to the rafters stadium. Open Tickets is now the preferred ticketing company, and they let go of the last one based on the fact that that ticketing company, they were fraudulent tickets. So in order to get rid of that element, Open Tickets. But now Open Tickets, it wasn't open. No, yesterday.
They had a technical meltdown, according to News 24.
Yeah.
Massive glitches, widespread system delays, widespread system crashes. It's just...
But for me, it's also, you knew this. You should have anticipated that by the time these tickets go on sale, that everybody is going to be on that website, on the portal, on wherever. So for it to crash, to malfunction... Come on, guys.
And also there's people who can't go online, who went to Checkers, who went to Pick and Pay, to ShopRite. So all those little things are.
But those outlets also still have to go online.
And they crashed. So, it's obviously, it's amateur hour. That's for me.
For me, it is a little bit, because you have to anticipate that this is a big day. Tickets are going on sale and they're going to sell like hotcakes. And you kind of need to have look, I'm not a tech person. But whatever you need to have in order for people to buy tickets.
Exactly that. You also can't take your guns to the final, which I thought was a no-no anyway. So have you seen this story?
I did, but hold on, rewind quickly. So did they manage to sell any tickets? And are they going to fix the glitch so that if tickets were bought, that you don't buy that ticket again? Because can you see now? Is it not the very same thing that the other ticketing company was perhaps penalized for, and now this?
Yeah, I'm assuming that they'll be back up. They've organised, they've issued rather an apology. They say they'll be back up shortly. Yeah, I mean, this was a Monday. Hopefully yesterday went better. We
Okay,
don't know yet,
look.
but let's see.
Yeah, maybe we go easy and we see today as to if open tickets is closed or open. Talking about the weapons, I saw that, but I'm also confused as to why this is being issued.
Yeah, I mean,
Is it the nature of where we are in the country?
or is it the nature of the fact that somebody just asked a question and was answered and a story was made from it?
Because think about it. Okay, generally you're not supposed to take weapons, pangas, whatever,
Yeah.
into stadia, right? Knives, guns, etc. However, you've got ministers, you've got presidents maybe, who come with armed personnel.
Yeah.
So are you saying nobody comes in? I mean, you and I going in, okay, we know we can't take guns, right?
Yeah.
But who is exempt and who isn't?
Well, it says here, this is Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, who has said
Mkhwanazi.
if no VIPs at all can carry, even this bodyguards for VIPs. So I'm assuming that the VIPs will exclude ministers and, Danny Jordan, obviously.
But I don't think the sovereign president walks around with bodyguards, actually, and no armed bodyguards either. But I'm thinking about a minister, Gayton McKenzie. So he has his security entourage with him. Because I ran down flights of stairs and so did they one day with the minister. And I ran back up those flights of stairs and so did they with the minister. But isn't that protocol? I mean, don't they have armed guards
Well, they
and
do,
bodyguards for a reason? And aren't they armed for a reason? So I'm confused by the story because, okay, so if Joseph goes in, please leave your weapons at home. But if you're the VIP security personnel, also leave your weapons at home?
And I can't see them enforcing it. I think he's just making a noise for the sake of making a noise and trying to get himself some airtime. And that's what it is.
Hence I posed the question, is it because of where we are in the country
Yeah.
that this warning shot has been fired?
And it's not a warning shot.
Oh, what is it?
It's
just a warning.
So Kakisa, speaking of warning shot, Kakisa Rabada and his warning shot of the drugs. Speaking to Khalid Kalan after the break, the CEO of State,
It's the Institute of Drug Free Sport.
so he's going to be talking to us after. This story confuses me. So Donald Trump, the president of the United States, he's spoken about this is going to be the greatest World Cup ever. We're going to have so much money. And JD Vance said, we're going to, we'll let you come into the country, but make sure you go home.
We don't want to stay there.
Yeah.
Look, I'm a Mandela Washington Fellow, right? 2014. And do you know that after the 4 months in the USA, when we needed to go home, that, what was it called? IREX. The members of IREX, right, walked us all the way to the gate, to literally the door of the aeroplane, to make sure that all the leaders from Africa got back on the plane and went home. I actually turned around and I said, I'm actually quite happy to go home, guys. I don't want to stay in the USA. So I will, and they like literally count and make sure that you get on the plane and you're out of their country. I was like, Okay, there were a few who actually made a run for it. But yeah.
It used to happen at Olympic Games.
But
The
aren't
guys
you also
wouldn't go
going
home,
to
yeah.
welcome us? And then isn't it also an aspect of tourism and we spend money and we visit and then we go home? And you're saying, please come for the Olympics and then go home. That's not very hospitable, USA.
I'm not convinced that the USA section of the World Cup will be great. They don't have a lot of public transport. Buses aren't the greatest in the world. A lot of guys aren't going to be able to just hire Ubers and drive around.
You don't think it's going to be a good World Cup?
I think it'll be a good World Cup in Canada and Mexico. But then again, I mean, this is the guys with a tariff war going on with Canada and Mexico and the US.
And so we need to jump a
Are
wall.
are they going to put tariffs on footballs? Are they going to put tariffs on football shirts? Now, there's football shirts. The football shirts are made in China. The football shirts are made in India, Vietnam, Pakistan, all over the place. It's
How
just.
about we just stay at home?
I'll watch it on TV.
Yeah.
It'll be
Your World of Champions.
also maybe SABC, but if they can afford it.
Let's hope the national broadcaster does.
It does.
Well, after this, we are going to chat to Khalid Khaland, SA Institute Drug Free Sport. We're talking about Kagiso Rabada that's come out, spoken about using a recreational drug. And obviously, what is SAID's say on this one?
This is Omnisport Africa. We're putting African sport first. Live and on demand on your phone. Data free on the MTN network in South Africa. T's and C's apply. And online at omniaudio.africa. Because reading about it tomorrow won't help you today. When we created Omnisport, we wanted you to hear from Africa's greatest sports journalists. In South Africa, there was only one choice.
No big deal.
Omnisport proudly presents Inside SA Soccer with Brad Jakes.
Whatever that Chiefs can do, it would seem Mamelodi Sundowns can do better.
With over 3 decades as one of South most talented, decorated, and astute soccer journalists, Brad Jakes is the man the players, coaches, team owners, and officials listen to.
This is a brave man.
Inside SA Soccer with Brad Jakes, exclusive to Omnisport, where Africa comes to play.
Now that's a garage match.
Listen live now and on demand at omniaudio.africa.
8:46, and we're chatting to SA Institute Drug Free Sports, Khalid Khalant. He joins us on the line. Khalid, morning.
Good morning to you and to your listeners.
And I even want to start off by saying perhaps I'm a little disappointed if you take a look at KG, what has happened. But then again, there's the human element, right, to this athlete that I have put on a pedestal. He didn't ask me to do that. And perhaps that is where my disappointment stems from.
Yes, that is, you hit it spot on. In terms of how we regard our sporting heroes and our athletes. And obviously it's disappointing for people that idolize him. Again, our job as the Institute for Drug-Free Sport is to regulate sport, and our job is to do testing. And we discharge that mandate without fear or favor.
Is it a secret as to what recreational drug KG used?
Well, again, our job is in terms of regulating. So with this classification of substance, he tested positive for what we refer to as a substance of abuse. And it's up to the player to disclose what exactly the substance of abuse. There are 4 substances in this category: cocaine, heroin, ecstasy, and marijuana. We are only able to disclose the substance after the appeal period has lapsed, which is within 30 days of when we serve the notice on Mr. Abada.
Well, I can't see him taking heroin, so that one's out. But anyway, but you spoke about the distinction between these and how they the 3 elements in terms of what basically performance-enhancing substances are. And this one you said goes more or less against the spirit of sport. Could you expand a little bit more for us?
Correct. It's just as you mentioned earlier, in terms of athletes or players are held to an high esteem. So part of the spirit of sport is about the character of competition, the character of athletes, the character of sport. And this goes since these substances of abuse are illegal in society, is considered illicit drugs. So it goes against the spirit of sport in terms of healthy and fair competition.
But I'm even sitting here thinking, is one better than the other? So you take a look at performance enhancing and then you take a look at recreational. And I'm almost thinking, okay, it's forgivable because it's recreational and not performance enhancing, Because at the end of the day, he is a human being, right? Bound to make mistakes. And probably we make an example out of him because he is an athlete, well-known and on that pedestal. But I mean, I'm sure you'd say no, but is one better than the other?
Well, I'm not going to comment on that. And we use the term illicit because recreational has a more positive connotation or adjective, and it's an illicit drug. It's illegal in society. So in terms of, you mentioned the mistakes that people made is only human. And that's why this substance is treated differently from a performance-enhancing drug, which is considered a more egregious offense in sport.
For me, I get stuck on the why, right, Khalid? Like trying to get into his mind and the moment when he did it, why he used it, who he was with. But do you think that there's another educational element that needs to be brought into sport? Because I go even further to question, is he coping okay being on this pedestal? Is everything okay? perhaps where he is training wise? Is he a happy individual? So I go into like the psychological side of it and think, you know, should athletes of this nature on this pedestal who are seen, you know, as these heroes not go through sort of like a I don't know, get a psychologist to kind of coach them along?
Well, I'm not going to psychoanalyze Mr. Rabada, but I can say that the professional athletes like the Proteas, the Springboks, and football all have access to professional counseling in whether it's the PSL or Springbok players. Because as you correctly point out, you know, the pressures of being not only an athlete but a celebrity and a high earning celebrity, and we see them on TV and we put them on a pedestal. So their governing bodies or organizations do provide them with these type of services, and the Players Union, which is the South African Cricketers Association, the Rugby Players Association are big advocates of exactly what you say, that athletes should have access to counseling on off the field matters.
As someone who's covered a lot of sport, particularly cycling and rugby, it always fascinates me that when an athlete tests positive, they claim basically no knowledge of it. I don't know how it got there. I don't know what the sample is. Wait till my B sample is tested. And what they don't realize is obviously the A sample and the B sample are just basically a split of the same sample. I mean, you must have come across in your time, I think David George, the cyclist, was one of them, guys who just going, right, you know what, I did take it. You know, I admit to my guilt. I'll serve my ban. What can I do to educate others? I mean, there are very few of those athletes that do that, and it's necessary for me.
Correct. You know, it totally depends on the nature of the athlete. And some athletes live a high-risk lifestyle. And when we catch them, you know, they just, you know, can I say, resign themselves to. And basically, a few athletes have already, you know, told us, "You're only catching me now."
Wow.
It's about time. So, you know, the athletes with that high-risk attitude won't necessarily contest the charge because it will involve, you know, high cost, high expenses in terms of lawyers' fees, etc., etc.
And also, the proof of innocence is actually on them because it's absolute responsibility for what they put into their bodies. I know that has been. I mean, I remember that in Australia with Ben Toon, they hid it. The Australian, the Wallaby athlete, hid it from him. But then Cricket Australia, whenever Shane Warne tested positive for taking his wife's or his mother's water loss pills, he admitted that and he served his bill. So his time. So there's some people just go, well, it's I'm done. But others, I mean, it seems it is the easy way. I think a lot of rugby guys, for example, they use steroids to get over injuries rather than to build themselves up. And it's almost like worrying about not making the money, not making the team, and then losing their careers. Yeah,
it's definitely a risk. It's rolling the dice in terms of, especially at the professional level, if you are engaging in taking performance-enhancing drugs. Because, again, we test without a notice. So you are taking a gamble that we may or may not test you.
How, I mean, we talk about the educational side as well, but I mean, if you're an athlete sitting and you really don't know whether you can take this headache tablet or use this sort of muscle rub, whatever, is there enough? Where do athletes go in order to find out, to know that what they're putting in their body is a yay or a nay?
Well, if we're looking at athletes on the elite level, where most of the testing occurs, on our website, you go and you type in the brand name of a product in South Africa, and it will give you a green or a red light, tell you whether it's banned or permitted in sport. Remember, we're talking professional athletes that have a whole entourage of medical personnel, from physios to doctors and different types of doctors. So they have access to professional expertise and advice around them. And we also saw, you mentioned, the era of cycling, but over the years we've also seen less and less positive from contamination and with respect to supplements, because again, athletes are more aware and access to scientific and medical advice on what they should and shouldn't be taking.
I guess it's also a trust. right, Khalid? Because you're saying, yes, they've got this medical entourage that they have and that they can tap into. But then again, often it's times where you turn around and it's like, oh, but it was my masseuse, it was my physio who gave me this, it was my doctor, it wasn't me. And so the onus, I guess, as much as they have the support, is on the athlete at the end of the day.
Correct. And the way the sports regulations are written, and there's a term that is used, strict liability, that is the ultimate responsibility of the athlete to take responsibility what he or she ingests with respect to substances.
Yeah, I mean, I rode the Epic in 2012 and I had a bit of flu before and I was prescribed some antibiotics and I had to check them afterwards.
You did?
Correct.
I checked them and basically there was cortisone in them, and then the Epic started testing properly. I mean, all the way down the field. I mean, even me, who finished 480th out of 500 riders, they were testing people all the way down the line. And you know, there would have been a chance if I would have tested positive, I would have been kicked out, and then I would have had a lifetime ban from the Epic, because that's what they do now. They ban you for a lifetime from the Epic. But yeah, it's that you have to be that careful and
And the
that
public
aware.
embarrassment.
Yeah, well, the embarrassment. I mean, can you imagine if somebody said, so Kevin, you were taking steroids and you still finished 480th? I mean,
It was not performance enhancing in your case. Khalid, if anything, I mean, you're saying that athletes saying, oh, only now, you're only catching me now. Is there perhaps, for me, maybe as a fan, and I don't know if you have an opinion on this, but perhaps the fashion in which KG did come out, did say, he didn't say what, but he did, raise his hand and say, made this mistake. And perhaps there is, some grace that we afford him and a little bit respect, I guess, that we heard it from him and we didn't have to find out via.
Well, the way you describe it, I can obviously see you're a big fan of KG in the out, so it's difficult for me to comment. Yeah. The athlete has issued a statement, and I think one of the lines in his statement was he hoped this mistake doesn't define his career, and I will leave it at that. It's difficult for me to comment.
Yes, no, it is. I also try and get the human element side of you, because I'm sure that you do have an opinion, but obviously towing the line very tightly there. Khalid, always really good chatting to you, and thank you for your time this morning.
You're welcome.
Khalid Galant, SA Institute Drug-Free Sport.
Yeah.
I've thought of the story in all angles, like different ways. Like if KG was sitting here, what would I ask? But we spoke about this the other day with Kevin Fine also, but there is the human element, right? So he is a great athlete, cricketer, role model, but we put him on the pedestal. And then when he fell from the pedestal, we were upset, but he didn't say to us, put me on the pedestal, right? And so therein lies the disappointment, don't you think? Recreational, yes, I'm a human, I'm young. I still want to know what. What do you think? I'm going with cocaine.
I'm not going to say anything because I've said this before, and I have
You're not going to say?
bitten back. I mean,
okay, you've ruled out heroin.
I know. Hopefully, good God, and ecstasy, because nobody goes to raves anymore. But yeah, I'm just going through the list on the SAID's Drug Free Sport website. It's drugfreesport.org.za.
Okay, thank you.
And it's great. And you're going down the list, and there's a couple of there's about 3 cycling guys, but then there's a lot of rugby players, a lot of athletics, powerlifting, shooting.
Oh, shooting.
A guy took Calentable, Willem Jacobus Petrus Steyn, shooting.
Clenbuterol.
Yeah, so it's metabolites, Clenbuterol. I think that's a steroid as well.
Yes.
I mean, how does a steroid make you shoot better?
I don't know. Maybe it makes you laser focus. Who knows?
Yeah, there's a lot of supplements on the market, and you need to check them. So, I mean, I use Biogen, and they test their stuff incredibly hard, so they make sure that it's clean. And athletes take a certain level of the stuff to make sure it's clean.
So you know that Queen of Migraines here, right? I once offered a footballer a tablet who had a headache, and he actually first went onto the website to check the name of the tablet that I was giving him before he actually took it. And I was like, actually, that's quite smart. And it should just be an app, don't you think? It should just be an app, quick, easy, put it in, out it spits, yay or nay, you can take it. But it should be an app that every elite athlete could just download, put in the drug that you want to take, and it spits out if you can or if you can't.
Well, exactly that, and you can do it on Drug Free Sport
websites.
on the website. I mean, I've been looking up stuff I'm taking, and I won't be playing for the Springboks anytime soon.
Okay, good.
But that said, I mean, no, it's a worry. It's education. It's being aware.
It is, but the onus is on the athletes, and that's a wrap. We're back tomorrow. Cheerio.
Not the sports news on OmniAudio.Africa with Romy Titus and Kevin McCallum.